Time for Scouching's November/December Calder Trophy Power Ranking if I'm allowed to come out. And this time, it's gonna have Matvei Michkov on it, so we'll just get that out of the way. And we're gonna start at number 5 with Lane Hutson. Now, Hutson has been absolutely exceptional this season on a team that has really struggled defensively in the Montreal Canadiens. He's still playing a tremendous amount of minutes. He's on their power play. It's just been a really good and promising start to Lane Hutson's career, especially for a player that had as many questions about his game coming into his NHL career. I've been really impressed with Lane Hutson's dynamic abilities, his skating, how he's using his skill to create offense. I feel like that first career NHL goal has to be just around the corner, but it feels like it's been that way for a long time. He's a player who I think could end up higher on this ballot towards the end of the year, but this is turning out to be a really strong class of rookies, and it just seems like a couple of names have been a little bit better than him, so we'll move on to number 4. At number 4, we're going to go with the person that I actually had at number 1 last month in Logan Stankoven. He's been about the same over the last month. He's been undershooting his expected goals a little bit. His analytics look okay. His defensive impact is really solid to this point, but he's not playing as important a role as some of these other rookies. He's been a very good auxiliary player for Dallas this season, and I do really like Logan Stankoven. It's a really strong class of rookies, like I said, and I feel like with Stankoven, there's just been a couple of guys who have just shown more of an impact on their team this season. That might be because Dallas is just a really good team overall, but Stankoven is a guy who just hasn't quite grabbed the reins of his team like a few of the other guys higher on my ballot. I'm still a huge fan of the player. All 5 of these guys are extremely good performers this year. It's just I feel like other guys have passed him at this point, so let's keep going and move on to number 3. At number 3, we're going to put Dustin Wolf of the Calgary Flames. Now, it's not entirely unexpected that Dustin Wolf is a really good NHL goaltender. He has been an exceptional goaltender at every level of play, except for really when he played for Calgary last year, where he was about average. But he really seems to be hitting his stride this season. He's got a remarkable 8-4-1 record to this point, with a .918 save percentage at time of recording, with a 2.6 goals against average, which implies a pretty heavy workload. In his 13 games at time of recording, 7 of them have been 30 shots or more against him, and there are a number of games where he's faced 29 shots, 28 shots. It is a busy job for Dustin Wolf, and he's been doing a really good job. Similar to Lane Hutson, this is a guy who had questions about his potential NHL impact, but he really seems to be proving the critics wrong and really showcasing that smaller goaltenders can do the job, at least to this point. We'll see how the rest of the season goes for this team, but Calgary probably is not where they are without Dustin Wolf. Considering he is a full 18 points ahead in save percentage of his backup Dan Vladar, and his 8-4-1 record is better than Vladar's 5-5-4 record at this point, it really is hard to ignore the real potential in Dustin Wolf's game and the impact he has had on his team, which, for a goaltender at his age, is a really great achievement, and so I feel like he deserves to be a finalist at this point in the season for the Calder Trophy. Alright, prepare yourselves. At number 2, we're going to put Matvei Michkov. At the time of the last video, I know I failed to mention him and he wasn't on my ballot and everything, and I just had seen him a few times and there were some habits that were a little bit questionable. I feel like he was outshooting his potential with his expected goals and everything, but at this point he really seems to have really found his groove in the NHL. He has been great recently. He's won a few games on his own for the Philadelphia Flyers to this point. When I've seen the Flyers, he hasn't just been a really great goal-scoring, shooting offensive forward, but he's showcasing a lot of that playmaking that I saw when he was a younger player that made me really interested in him after he made the switch to Sochi in the KHL. Michkov has simply just been great. It's really hard to ignore just how good he's been in the last little while. Yes, it was a bad take last month to not have him on the ballot at all, but I do think that he has cemented himself in the serious conversation to win this trophy. He's scoring more, he's playing an extremely important role for his team now, largely playing on the first line, and he's just overall been a great offensive catalyst for a team that seems to be struggling a little bit. He's won games for them, he's been really dynamic, he's shooting, but he's also making plays. I've just really enjoyed watching him play, and now I am more than comfortable putting him right up at the top of this ballot. But at number 1, I am going to go with a player that this might be a bit of recency bias on, but it's going to be Macklin Celebrini. I think Macklin Celebrini has outperformed my expectations of him on a team that is playing him a lot by quite a wide margin. He is a very, very dynamic and creative center who has made his line mates better. William Eklund has often been playing with him, and I feel like William Eklund benefits from Macklin Celebrini probably more than Macklin Celebrini benefits from William Eklund. I'm a huge William Eklund fan for the record, but I just feel like Celebrini's intelligence defensively, his ability to quickly break pucks out of the defensive zone, quickly make passing decisions through the neutral zone, really strong cuts in the offensive zone to create space and little pockets. His spin passes off the boards are kind of becoming a bit of a trademark in the games I've seen of him with San Jose, and all in all, he's just been great. I really don't have that many criticisms of Celebrini at this point outside of stuff that's normal for someone his age. He's not the strongest guy in the world. Defensively, if he's pursuing a player under close quarters, he doesn't really have the strength to create those turnovers. But off the puck in the defensive end anyway, he's really, really good. I feel like he's just been such an impactful and important player for San Jose, and that can be showcased by the record that they have with him in the lineup versus without him in the lineup. San Jose has won 7 of 17 games with Macklin Celebrini in the lineup, and granted, that's not an amazing ratio of wins to losses, but without him in the lineup, they are 3-9. They just are not the same team without Macklin Celebrini on the ice. Granted, this is an advantage for Celebrini that other players on my Calder ballot just don't have because they haven't missed as much time this year, but it is something to note in Celebrini's favor. The fact that he's a center, he's playing top line minutes, he's elevating his line mates, he's doing everything that you need a top end player to do, and his future seems so bright at this point that in this really crowded group of high end rookies in the NHL this year, I feel like he's number one. And that's it for Scouching's December Calder ballot. I am having so much fun watching these rookies this year, especially considering I have seen all of these guys when they were 17, 18 years old, developing in other leagues, and seeing them translating to the NHL is just wonderful to watch. I'm a huge fan of all of these players, and even the ones that aren't mentioned here, I think there's a really big group of players that have a really bright future in the NHL. So we'll see how the next month plays out, and we'll see you in the next Calder ballot, whenever that might be. And I will bet you that Matvei Michkov will be on that one too, so we'll see you then.